Hi everyone, good morning. Um, Welcome to another day of movement meditations. Today's lesson, I want to stay on the theme that we've been kind of going with this week, which is the movement of the feet. But we're going to do a kind of an interesting exploration where maybe you feel different parts of you moving as well as just your feet. So as normal, in fact, actually, before I start, if there's anyone watching or that watches the replay that wants me to maybe pick up specific subjects, that like certain things that I've done, that wants me to talk about certain things more, just add them in the comments. I'm really open to, I'm planning each lesson each day. It's a fun process for me. So if that's something that you're interested in, or there's, maybe you've got some pain or discomfort or some particular area that you're interested in, just drop it in the comments and I'll see if I can pick it up in the coming weeks. So if you just for a moment, just close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, your attention kind of comes back inwards. And just notice for yourself this morning, whether it's early morning or late morning, just notice how you're sitting. I posted an article for the Feldenkrais Guild UK recently that was all about walking, and it was talking about the amount of hours that we're all spending sitting in comparison with maybe times in our kind of human history, and it was saying something along the lines of like we're sitting for 8 or 9 hours a day. So if we're doing something for so long, we might as well get pretty good at it. So as you're sitting there, as you've got your eyes closed, just bring your attention to your breathing. And as you bring your attention to your breathing, maybe you can begin to feel your contact with the chair and your contact with the floor. So your feet's contact with the floor. And if you've got shoes on right now, I would suggest taking your shoes off. Doesn't matter whether you've got socks or bare feet. And then very gently, very slowly, I'd like you to begin to just lift a tiny bit the heel away from the floor. So you could lift the right heel to begin with. It will start with the right foot. Just very slowly lifting the right heel and dropping it down again. And this is something that we've done in other lessons, so it should be familiar. But see if you can just do it like a very small amount, like not a big movement. How can you use a minimal amount of effort to do this? Good. Okay, and then the next time you do it, notice how as you lift your heel, there's an increase in pressure on the front of the feet. So just notice that transition a few times. As you lift the heel, notice that there's a slight increase in pressure on the front of the foot. And where does that pressure go to? Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in the toes? Do you feel it in the ball of the toes? Do you feel it on the inside of the foot or the outside of the foot? Okay, so for the purpose of this lesson, we're going to concentrate on the ball of the big toe. So as you lift and lower your heel, I'd like you just to kind of bring your attention to how the weight comes into the ball of the big toe. So it's like you've got your foot on the floor, and as you lift the heel upwards, the weight comes down onto the ball of the big toe, and just feel that process. Becoming familiar with that transition between lifting the heel and bringing weight into the ball of the big toe. Good. And when you've done it a few times, leave your heel lifted in a comfortable way, Feel that increase in pressure on the ball of your big toe, and then begin to make a really small circle going around the edges of the ball of the big toe. So you've got the ball of the big toe on the floor. So let's imagine that this is the ball of the big. That doesn't really work. Let's do this. So this part here, and then I'm just moving my weight around this part here. If that's not clear, mention in the chat, but hopefully it is. So you bring your weight onto the ball of the big toe, and then you just make a circle around it. So it's a movement of the foot. And just see if you can do it really nice and slowly. Keep breathing as you do it. Don't clench your abdominal muscles or your pelvic floor. Just see if you can kind of bring your weight to the ball of the big toe and then make a small circular movement. So you're tracing around the edges of the ball of the big toe. Good. And then see if you can do it in the other direction as well. Take it round clockwise or anti-clockwise. Notice how your foot moves as you do that in order to make this kind of like circular movement around this point. What movement is the foot making? And what movement is the ankle making? Good. All right, then take a rest. Begin to lift the heel of the left foot a few times away from the floor. Very slowly, very gently. Lifting the heel away and bringing it back down. And it doesn't need to be a big amount. It can be, maybe half an inch or a centimeter. And see if you can kind of make the process of lifting it and lowering it as fast going up as it is going down. Or in other words, as slow going up as it is going down. Good. And then when you've got your heel lifted, you can feel that the weight's somehow down in the ball of the big toe of the left foot. And then just begin to make a circular movement around the ball of the big toe. It's like you're tracing out the edges of the ball of the big toe, like all the way around it, like through moving your foot. Take it nice and slowly, keep breathing. And when you've done it a few times in one direction, just change directions, and take it either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Notice kind of what other muscles in your foot or your leg are kind of firing, trying to get in the way. Are your toes doing something they don't need to be doing? Again, as you're making that circle, feel what your foot is doing in the process of making that circle. And feel what your heel is doing. And could you describe the same movement making a circle around the ball of the big toe as making a circle with the heel? Just see if you're making a circle with the heel. Good, take a little rest. Come back to the right foot. Lift the right foot slightly away, the heel of the right foot slightly away from the floor. Begin to make a circle around the big toe, the ball of the big toe, not the big toe, the ball of the big toe. And notice if at the same time the heel is making a circle. Could you describe the same movement by saying that the heel was circling? Do it slowly, take your time. Feel that kind of interrelated nature of those two circles. As you make a circle around the ball of the big toe, there's also a circle happening in the heel. So it goes up to the right, down to the left, or vice versa, up to the left, down to the right. So if you haven't swapped over the direction, swap over the direction. And see if you can describe the circle by moving the heel now. See if you can actively draw a circle with the heel. It's still in the air. You're not touching it down. You're drawing a circle with the heel in space. Comes up to the left and down to the right, or up to the right and down to the left. And see at the same time as you're drawing this circle with the heel, is this circle still happening in the ball of the big toe? Can you pay attention to both at the same time? Good. Okay, take a rest. Just feel how your left and your right foot are sitting on the floor now. And when you're ready, lift your left heel in the air, just slightly, small amount. Begin to draw a circle with your left heel in space. Up to the left, down to the right, or up to the right and down to the left. And see if you can bring your attention to the fact that that circling movement in the heel is still describing a circle on the floor with the ball of the big toe, or around the ball of the big toe. Take it slowly and see if you can bring both of those into your attention at the same time. Sorry, my phone is making noises. Can you track both of those circles? The heel circle and the circle around the ball of the big toe. And if you haven't already, try and change directions. Again, maybe you can feel, as you do it slowly enough, you can feel the places in the circle that feel less smooth. And if you rush too much, it's like you're trying to kind of achieve the outcome without going through the process. So let yourself go through the process. Let it feel a little bit kind of discoordinated. Feel that you're making a circle in space with the heel, the left heel, and that circle is also describing a circle around the ball of the big toe on the left. Good. So, as you're making that circle, can you move your attention up your leg and feel what's happening in your knee? As you're making these two circles on the floor with the left foot and the left heel, so the left ball of the big toe on the left and the left heel, what's happening with the left knee? And I'm hoping everyone's going, a circle. So see if you can kind of just like switch your attention between those three circles. Move your attention to the point of the ball of the big toe, feeling that kind of circle describing around it on the floor. Feel how the heel is making a circle at the same time, describing a circle in space. And then the knee. What's the knee doing? Could you say that the knee is also making a circle? Good. Take a rest with your left side. Lift up the heel of your right foot. Begin to draw that same circle around the ball of the big toe on the right foot. And feel how this is creating a circle in space with the heel. And then just switch your attention between the two for a moment or so. And see which parts of the circle are smooth, which parts maybe are a bit discoordinated. And can you spread your attention out to both of those points, the ball of the big toe and the heel? And then once you kind of are able to track both of them at the same time, just move your attention to what your knee is doing on the right side. As you're moving your right heel in a circle in space, that's creating a circle on the floor around the ball of the big toe. What's your knee doing? Is your knee making a circle? And can you actively make that circle with the knee in order to initiate the movement of the heel and the big toe? When you're ready, you can change directions. So you can feel that there's these three kind of interconnected circles. That when the heel's moving, the toe's moving. When the knee's moving, the heel's moving. When the knee's moving, the toe's moving. Good. All right, and take a rest. Just feel your feet on the floor. And maybe you could just lift your heels, one than the other, and just see how that feels now. Is it somehow easier to lift the heels than it was earlier? Good. And if you haven't got your eyes closed, just close your eyes. And very gently, just begin to make that circle with your knee again. Begin to make that circle with your knee. And feel how that can lift the heel up away from the floor and make that circular movement around the ball of the big toe. And see like how smooth or how perfect can you make the circle with your knee. We're not really used to using our knee in this way. But see, like, could your knee be as accurate as your hand would be drawing a circle? Is that possible? You can notice for yourself as you're going around the circle with your knee, whether it kind of becomes jumpy. Certain parts of the circle are less easy. When you're ready, take it in the other direction. And now, of course, because the knee, the bone that, well, the two bone or the joint in bones that creates the knee is the bones of the lower leg and the bones of the upper leg. What do you think's happening in the hip joint as you're making a circle with your knee? So feel as you make this circle with your right knee, describing a circle in space. See if you can make that circle really nice and smooth and keep breathing. And you bring your attention to the place where the thigh bone joins in with the pelvis. Could you feel that there's some kind of circle happening there? And if you can feel that there's a circle happening there, can you bring your attention across the other circles at the same time? So that you feel the circle in the hip joint, you feel the circle with the knee, you feel the circle with the heel, and you feel the circle being created on the floor around the ball of the big toe. Can they all be happening at the same time? Good. Okay, and take a rest. Begin to lift the left heel, begin to draw a circle with the left knee in space. As you draw a circle with the left knee, again, see, like, can that circle be a perfect circle? Can you make your knee as agile and as deft as your hand would be drawing a circle? Or is the knee a bit more clumsy? And is this knee more clumsy than the other knee? So all of these things, all of these questions, they kind of have relevance. So for example, if one of our knees is more skillful than the other, it's more likely that the skillful knee will get into trouble less than the less skillful knee. Moshe gives a great lesson for this about the ankles and saying that, you know, when the feet don't really know what to do, that they're not very skillful, then we often twist our ankles as a result of it, because we're trying to do two separate things at the same time. So in this movement, as you're making the circle with your knee, there are different things happening at the same time, but in some way they're all happening in unison. So as you make that circle with your left knee, you can feel that there's a circle being created in the left hip joint. The left heel is also making a circle in space. And you're making a circle around the ball of the left big toe. And can you track all of those 4 circles at the same time? I think there is a limit of how many things that we can track in our attention. I can't remember if it's 7 or 8, but let's put it to the test. So have a little rest. And then lift up both heels and begin to draw these circles, maybe in opposite directions. And see if you can track the circle in the hip joint, the circle in the knee, the circle of the ankle, and the circle around the ball of the big toe, with both feet going in different directions at the same time. Notice if you can find smoothness in all the various circles. Like if one draws your attention, if one doesn't feel smooth, then give more of your attention to that circle. And then change directions. Same thing. Feeling if you can feel that circle around the ball of the big toe, at the same time as feeling that circle in the hip socket, same time as circling the heel in space, and the knee drawing a circle. Good. Good, and then can you do them in the same direction? Could you move them in the same direction so that both knees are circling in the same direction? Both heels are circling in the same direction, the hip socket is circling in the same direction. And then change directions. So they're both going in the opposite way now. Okay. And let your feet rest on the floor. Just feel how your legs are resting now. Maybe you could just lift your heel and see how that feels, or you could tilt your knee in and out, see how that feels. And just as you sit there, as you bring your attention to yourself, can you sense for yourself those areas, the hip joint, the knee, the heel, and the ball of the big toe? Can you still sense them even though you're not paying attention to the circles? Okay. And when you're ready, so you can just kind of finish the exercise and just feel how you're sitting, feel your breathing, feel your attention. And maybe throughout the day, as you kind of go through your day today or through the weekend, you can kind of play with this a little bit. You know, maybe if you're sitting there and you're not doing anything, just begin to circle one of these places. And maybe you can find other circles that I didn't discuss. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Again, these lessons are all available in my Facebook group. There's a link in the description. There's also a link to my PayPal account if you want to make a small donation. Tomorrow lunchtime, I'll be teaching a lesson at 1. The lesson is to do with self-regulation, and it's a full hour-long Feldenkrais lesson. If that's interesting to you, join into the group, and I will put details there tomorrow. Okay? Hope you have a lovely weekend. Take care. I'll see you in these classes on Monday at 11. Take care. Bye.